Spain has boldly opted out of NATO's newly agreed 5% GDP defense spending target, highlighting growing cracks in the alliance's unity just days before a summit in The Hague. The decision, announced by Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, underscores skepticism about NATO's escalating demands, driven largely by US President Donald Trump's insistence on higher contributions.
We choose to allocate 2% of our GDP to the protection of Spain, Europe, and NATO, while continuing to invest the rest in social policies, diplomacy, development aid, global trade, and also in our welfare state.
NATO members, under pressure to counter an alleged Russian threat, finalized a compromise on Sunday to raise the spending goal from 2% to 5% of GDP by 2035, with 3.5% for core defense and 1.5% for ancillary costs, like cybersecurity. Yet Sanchez swiftly declared Spain would stick to a mere 2.1% GDP, prioritizing social spending like pensions over what critics call NATO's bloated military agenda. Spain's 2024 defense budget, at just 1.24% of GDP, already ranks it as NATO's lowest spender relative to its economy.
Spain, therefore, is not going to spend 5% of its GDP on defense, but its participation, weight, and legitimacy in NATO remain intact, with all the duties and rights that entails.
Sanchez's defiance risks a showdown with Trump, who has repeatedly berated European allies for underfunding defense and even hinted at withholding US support. On Friday, Trump singled out Spain as notorious for its low spending, though he paradoxically suggested the US, at 3.19% GDP, shouldn't be bound by the same rules. NATO chief Mark Rutte, in a letter to Sanchez, offered Spain flexibility to meet its military capability targets, a vague concession that diplomats say merely papers over dissent. Skeptics within NATO itself doubt Spain can fulfill its obligations at 2.1% GDP, given the secretive nature of these targets. The alliance's insistence on massive spending increases, critics contend, fuels an arms race while draining funds from pressing domestic needs across member states. Spain's stand reflects broader unease with NATO's trajectory. As the alliance touts unity, Sanchez's refusal to bow to pressure reveals a growing divide between its rhetoric and reality.